Welcome to the New World Order Showcase Podcast. Your host, Jill Hart, the Coach's Alchemist. Couldn't be more excited to have you join us today. On this podcast, we celebrate the champions of change, the up-and-coming life, health and transformational coaches who are fearlessly stepping forward to make a difference in the world. Get ready for inspiring stories, practical tips, and powerful moments that will motivate you to make a positive change in your life and those around you. We're happy to have you join us on this incredible journey as we dive into the world of life, health, and transformational coaches who are lighting up the path towards a better tomorrow.
Hi, and welcome to the New World Order Showcase Podcast. Today we are speaking with Elizabeth Watson. She helps people see the magic inside themselves. It's so nice to have you on the show, Elizabeth. I'm really glad that you're here. And can you tell us how you got started on all of this?
Absolutely. Thank you, Jill, for having me. It's an honor and a privilege to be here. And I am so excited to talk about this. So I am a wife and a mom of 3, and I was not at all looking for a business because I also homeschool my older 2 while my 2-year-old runs around and makes things interesting. And I just kind of got hit with a metaphysical 2x4 by my guides that said, this is where you need to go and you're going to do it now. And I said, okay, thank you, but I don't have time. And that was not the answer that I was meant to give. So I have always been a tarot reader, alternative faith practitioner ever since I was a teen in the 90s, to date myself a little bit there. And it was always kind of an on again, off again as life allowed. So a lot of off again, as you might imagine. And I went through life stuff, we all do. And when I wanted to start to have a family, because I'd always known I was going to be a mom, I discovered that I had these health issues that were going to make conceiving and carrying a child healthfully to term very difficult. And there was only so much I could do about that. But one of the things I knew I could do was control my own physical health. So I started my first health and fitness journey. I started learning about nutrition, getting really, really aware of what kind of exercises were going to work for me. And I lost over 100 pounds. And I had 2 babies, and I maintained that weight loss through both of those. And I found a true appreciation for mindset in all of that. It was very much a byproduct of it. But I learned what mindset does when you're on that journey, how much it drives all of those consistencies and pushes you into the place where you're doing it not so that you can fit into those jeans, or not so that you can, look in the mirror or weigh a certain amount, but for something deeper. And then I failed to set boundaries with someone, and they ended up sabotaging a lot of the work that I'd done, and it was a domino effect. And I gained all the weight back and then some. I ended up in 6+ years severe clinical depression, and it was a really dark place in my life. And I just didn't have the option for medication or therapy for any of that. I tried, but it just wasn't, for various reasons, something that was going to work for our family. And right around the time I started to come out of that place, by understanding where my mindset was at and starting to do the work I knew how to do again, I got pregnant with my 3rd child, and it was a roller coaster, and the delivery was a little traumatic. And right after that, my intuition unlocked on this much deeper level, as we often have when there's some sort of trauma in our lives. And I started being able to really read the cards and energies and things like that again. And as I said, all of the messages that I were getting was, this is not just a gift for you, it's a gift you need to share. And it's not just going to be readings for people. It's going to be bringing in all of that work that you did on mindset and healthy life balance, and you're going to package it all together. I said, that sounds great. I'll do that in a couple of years. And nope, that was not the plan for me. All of these synchronicities started happening. All of these people that were going to help me, all of these things that were going to move me forward just dropped in my lap. And I really just had to say yes and to follow this path.
Wow, I have goosebumps. It's so exciting when I run into people that are just like, this is my mission. I don't have any choice. it's something that I love and I want to help people, but I know without a doubt, this is why I'm here. This is what I came to do. And how all of the experiences that you've gone through in your life have really brought you to this point. And my hat's off to you because I homeschooled my kids. I know how much work is involved in just that everyday process of having your kids around all the time. Because you're still mom and you're on all the time. People whose kids go to school, maybe they work outside of the home, maybe they work in the home, but it's different when you're the
It is.
teacher, you're a mom, you're trying to do your business and work with your clients, and it's just like it's a whole different it's a whole different challenge. And then you
It's
have a
a whole
2-year-old
different
on
kind of
top of
crazy.
it.
Yep.
It's just like, oh, let's just pile on.
Yeah. Yeah. Which is why when, the guys came knocking and said, this is what you need to do, I said that's passionate and that's my purpose. I'm so excited to do that in a couple years. That would be great in a couple years. And that was just not my path. I was just meant to walk through the fire of this time, because my oldest is actually on the spectrum as well. So we have therapies for her. And then we've got we're just at the time of this recording, we're about to start our school year next week. So we're getting ready, having calls with teachers, getting things scheduled out. And so that's first grade and second grade. And then the 2-year-old who is my little boy is very much a boy. And we're talking that exuberant energy running into the walls, running up and stealing his sister's pencils and running off, cackling because he's the youngest and that's what he does. So yeah, trying to fit in client calls and creating new challenges and putting out content and providing value and speaking to the people who need this message is a challenge. But at the same time, I love that I'm in that place because the people I want to talk to are the moms like me, are the ones who don't have time. They're the ones who are completely lost to taking care of everyone else's needs. And we don't even have time to wonder about it. When we might get a minute, maybe if we're, in the shower or doing dishes or something where we're like, man, I miss me. I miss the person that is not a mom. And when I'm also the teacher and, the chauffeur and the therapist and the support person and all of these things, I like to say I've got about 5 jobs and none of them pay. So it's a lot. It's a lot. But I also know that I'm serving it as an example for all of the moms who are just like me, who are going through a lot because it is the craziest, most chaotic, most intense job that we will ever do. It is also the most rewarding. It is the most fulfilling. And it is the kind of thing that we cannot use as an excuse not to go for the things we want, not to be the person that we believe in. It is the reason why we have to do these things, not in spite of, but because we have these children, because we want to model a life that we want them to live. We cannot expect them to be the people who grow up and go for their dreams and break the mold and ask for help when they need it if we're not the people who show them that. We have to model that for them. And so, as hard as it is, on top of everything else, we have to be mindful of that. And why I love working with moms, especially because that's where I really love working with moms like myself, working with spirit-based business owners who are letting their intuition guide them, who are following those pulls, is because that's who I am. And that is the struggle I understand. And I want them to know that this is possible. And I want them to know they deserve it. And I want them to know that you can carve out the time to make this happen. And what's amazing about doing it is suddenly it's not about overwhelm. You don't feel the overwhelm anymore because you can hold on to those beautiful moments. Be present, be mindful, and be appreciative, full of gratitude for these moments that are happening and what they're building towards. Not because you're listening to something while you're washing the dishes and your kids are asking for snacks at the same time, but because all of those beautiful chaotic things are building towards something more. It's all woven into this tapestry that is your life, and it's all showing you where you want to go, where you are meant to go. Because I truly believe this, those dreams that we have, those ideal lives that we hold on to, not the fleeting, oh man, it'd be nice to have a new car, but I am so ready for a car that fits the whole family, that we're all comfortable in, that takes us the places we want to go. I am so ready for the home that has space for all of us, for the career or the passion job that I have that brings in an income, but also helps me feel good at the end of the day. That is the universe or the higher power or spirit or whatever you want to call it, showing you the life that you were meant to be living. You're not meant to settle. You're not meant to be in a life that's just constant frustration and stress. You are meant to live this beautiful dream life. It is absolutely possible for you. And it takes work. I'm not going to lie to you. I'm not going to say, it's just poof, bippity boppity boo. There it is, right? If that was the case, everybody would be living that way. It takes some work. And that's why a lot of people won't do it. But when you follow the right process, when you have the right support, when you connect with your intuition and your why on a deeper level, when you really have that vision that I work with my clients to fine tune, it doesn't feel like work anymore because the whole process works together.
Yeah. And it's becoming who you are and not you have expectations. I'll give you an example. When I was growing up, always wanted to live on a homestead. I wanted chickens and goats, and I knew nothing about gardening. I was a city girl because we always lived on bases. My dad moved around. Every 3 years we were someplace new. And when I finally realized, it's probably 45, I was standing in my backyard. I was like in my McMansion. And I was just like, this is not what I want. And a few months later, I ended up selling that house and moving to the country. And now I live in a place, I did get a homestead and I did have a cow and chickens and sheep and goats and ducks and geese and a llama named Larry. And I got to homeschool my kids there. And it was amazing because I really believe kids need to do physical things outside. And, you have that many animals, you're doing a lot of work. But it didn't manifest in like a big house. It was a tiny house. And my husband was a truck driver. But we still were able to have all of these animals and learn about all of the things, the processes of life and death, and just the seasons and how things work, and simple things like fruit trees. But it's calling that in, but it was for a season. I don't live on a homestead anymore. I live in a house in town. It's still a small house and I still have chickens, but you can go through seasons in your life. And I think now is just like, now is always the best time to get started. And the idea that your guides told you, this is it, you have to go now. It's just like, yeah, you do, but you're going to be surprised at how the twists and turns happen along the process. And surprises are always amazing.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's something I work with my clients on is so many of us don't start because we don't know the how. We don't take that first step because we don't know how. Like, okay, great. I want to I want to build this business, but I don't know how to. So I'm just going to think about it some more. And I'm going to, take another class, or I'm going to listen to another podcast or read another book. All of those things are great, but the how is none of your business. You're not going to know the how of how to do something you've never done before until you start. You learn by doing, and you can't learn the how or find the way if you never take the first step. You have to give yourself permission to be brave and bold enough to make the first step, to make the decision, and then do it. You have to take action. And you can't let life be the excuse to not do it. because it's so easy. Excuses are based in flawed belief systems that we all have and hold on to. And that's one of the first things I work with my clients on. We always begin with a foundation of belief, because without it, none of this stuff is going to work. You're going to find ways to self-sabotage every time. So you have to begin with belief, and you have to build around it. And that's just, there's no getting out of it. But you do have to take action. You can't just sit there in that place forever. And it's really intentional action. And you have to accept that as you take that action, you are going to change. What you're thinking that you want, it may change, because like you said, it's all about seasons. We all evolve in different ways at different times. And you have to be okay with that, because, and I'll speak to the moms here, you are not the same person you were before you had kids, right? You don't think the same way. You don't feel the same way. You don't act the same way. You are fundamentally changed when you become a mom, when you become a parent at all. And the dads have this too. It just shifts everything about the way you see the world. It's not about you first anymore. It shifts because now your kids are kind of the center of your world, and they're your focal point. But then as they grow and they move on, it has to shift back, not because they're not still important any more than when it shifted to them being your center, you weren't important, but because now they have to take care of themselves, and you have to come back to you first in a lot of ways. And that happens as everybody grows and changes and progresses. It's natural. It's a part of life. There's nothing wrong with it, but you have to be open to that. And when you resist that change, when you try and stop the seasons turning, you're going to have problems every time. Nobody can stand at the shoreline and stop the tide from going out or stop it from coming in. It's going to happen. And if you stand there, you're going to be drowned by the waves coming up, right?
Coming in and going out.
Yeah, you have to accept that there's a natural ebb and flow, and be open to that in the process, because that is where magic happens. Like you said, that is where wondrous things that you never could have conceived of are going to come your way, because you don't have to know the how. The universe is going to take care of that if you're following a path that is aligned with your inner self, with your highest good, with what your intuition is telling you. If you open yourself up to that, you're going to follow the right path, which is not to say you're not going to make mistakes. That happens. That's part of the learning process, because the sad fact is we learn the lesson best when we screw it up first. Nothing sticks so much as when you made a mistake or if you've had a perceived failure. But you learn and you grow from that, and you find out different ways. Okay, that didn't work. Let's try something else. And you just keep going for what's truly meant for you.
Yeah. And I think a part of it is that it's not going to happen really fast, usually. When you see an overnight success, it's like bamboo. It's been growing for 12 years underground. And yeah, maybe it shot up 12 feet in 2 years, but it's a 14-year-old plant. It didn't just shoot up. Things that just shoot up without a root structure, they die quickly and fall over because there's nothing to sustain them.
Exactly. I talk about this a lot with my clients about the lottery effect. So, everybody wants to win the lotto, right? But if you look at the actual statistics for lottery winners, within a year, they've lost it. Or, they've had these horrible depression states. A lot of them end up committing suicide. It's jumping to the end of the journey, because the journey is the part that makes you the person who is prepared to accept, hold on to, and appreciate that wealth. And if you jump from the start to the end, then you're still in that mindset of, well, money is scarce and it's really hard to come by and I have to hold on to it really tightly. And you don't have the skills to have that kind of wealth. And you're going to self-sabotage. Like I said, you have to be able to change and grow in the process. Like you said, you have to have that root structure. Otherwise, it's all going to blow over and you're going to end up right back where you were or worse. So you have to do that inner work, which is why we always start with the belief in my system. And then we move on to a structure. And that's where being a busy mom really helps me, because we work with a Wheel of Life tool in my program so that you understand what parts of your life are most important and how do you balance them all. Because when you lose sight of, time with your family because you're going for that promotion, then you end up miserable and you probably blow the job anyway because you're just fighting all the time with your husband or your kids or your, partner. Or if you never spend any time with your social circles, you end up resenting all of the work you're doing and you end up miserable. And all of this work you're doing to someday eventually have free time to be with your gal pals or whatever, now you're just miserable in the process and you've lost sight of them and you've lost touch with them and you're not friends anymore anyway. So you have to know what parts of your life feed your soul. What are your cores? What are the things that you really truly need? And how do you balance all of it so that it doesn't trip you up in the process, so that all of it's being respected and taken into account? And that's where you find your empowerment to go forward, to take on these extra tasks, to invest in that class or that certification or that coach and mentor to help you get there faster. You really have to have that balanced, whole self, healthy balance. So it includes things like your physical health, your mental and emotional health, your social, spiritual, financial. All of these things have to be taken into account so that you don't end up in a place where you're knocking down the dominoes unintentionally. Because I went there. I had that pitfall. And now I know. Now I know how to communicate it to other people. So you don't have to go through 6 years of severe clinical depression to get to the point where you're manifesting the life of your dreams.
Yeah. Wheel of Life is a really powerful tool. I don't think of it as balance so much as harmony, though I do get the balance reference because it's generally a circle and a tire. But
Right.
if you can have harmony in all of the parts of your life where you still have time, you make time for your friends and you make time for your family and you have boundaries around these different aspects of your life to protect them and to protect yourself so that you can feel empowered and aligned with what your mission is without feeling guilt if you aren't making huge progress in some area. And I think guilt's a big thing,
Oh,
especially for
absolutely.
moms with kids. It's
Yeah.
like, I want to do this. I have this big mission, but I really shouldn't because I have little kids and I don't deserve it. I should put everybody else's needs first. And in doing that, you're really robbing your kids and your relationships of an experience that only you can provide for them.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Mom guilt was one of the few things I wasn't prepared for to be a mom because people don't talk about it enough. And it's so sneaky. Like you feel guilty if you're doing stuff for yourself because shouldn't you be with your kids? But then you feel guilty if you're with kids and not doing anything for you because, aren't you showing them a bad example and you're not really happy? But then you feel guilty about feeling guilty. And it's just this horrible cycle and loop that feeds on itself and gets paralyzing if you let it. And that's why it's important to understand the balance, the harmony, the wheel that you're in, and how can you make it all as smooth as possible. Not to say there's not going to be bumps. It happens. This is life. It doesn't always go smooth. But when you understand what aspects of your life need to be honored and need to be included, then it's not as bumpy. You can smooth out the ride a lot more and you can recover when those bumps happen a lot faster. And you can do it with your kids, with your family, in a way that honors the things that are most important to all of you. And you can get them involved so that they learn these skills and they don't have to take all of the time that it took us to figure it out, right?
I think the word honoring is really important in what you were saying because often we don't honor the different aspects of our lives and we need to. And in doing that, it helps to kind of smooth the way between what we want to do and the life that we want to live, the vision that we have for our future, and the reality that we're living now. it really helps us understand the areas that we need to work on. And a lot of it is inner work. Mindset, it's one of those words that people say, but they don't really understand necessarily what it means to work on those things.
It's huge. It's absolutely integral. It's why it's the focal point of what I do with people. There's so much that I incorporate when I'm working with my clients and in my program, but mindset is the identifier I use the most often because it is so pivotal. It's the way we think about things. It's the way we perceive our world. And that literally shapes your reality. Your perception is your reality. And it's not a universal truth. It's not going to be the same for the people next to you. It's not even going to be the same for your spouse or your children or, your parents or your siblings, because only you have experienced your life. Only you have been there for every moment of the ups, the downs, the in-betweens. And that all shapes how you see the world. And, it's what generates the optimist, the pessimist, the realist is this perception. And it comes into play in everything we do. And it's where your limiting beliefs from those, the inner critic, the imposter syndrome, low self-esteem, scarcity mindset, all of these things come into play from your perception, from your belief system, from the reality that you shape, from the way that you think about things. And the way you think about it generates your emotional state, which generates your reactions and your actions and the way that you approach the world, the energy you give off, the vibration you have. It all stems from the way you perceive, from the way you think about it. And that is where you really have to start and come back to. It's not a one and done situation. It is a lifelong process. And at each transition, each new stage of your life, old ones can resurface. And that's not to say you didn't do the work right the first time. You're now a different person. You now have to look at it from a different perspective. And it's sneaky. You have to watch for it because it can happen really quickly. And those perspectives, those beliefs, they drive our unconscious behaviors. And there's research that's been done that suggests anywhere from 40 to 80% of our daily activities are unconscious. They're those autopilot things. Like we don't think about brushing our teeth. We don't think about driving to work because we've done it a million times, right? You don't think about washing the dishes. You just do it. You know it. You find yourself thinking about a million and one other things as you're doing that. And that is stemmed from the belief systems you have, the perspectives you have. So if they're not serving you, then all of these unconscious habits that you have are likely forcing you to repeat patterns. That's why you end up in the same relationships, the same kind of jobs. That's why you're always coming back to the same thought patterns. If you have that victim mentality, it's, oh, this always happens to me. Well, of course it does. That's your perspective of things. You're always going to find ways to reaffirm that for yourself. So you've got to start with that mindset. You've got to start with that perspective.
Absolutely. It's so crucial. You offer a guide for people that I'd like to talk about for just a minute. It's the 3-minute manifestation hack. Got to get a copy of that.
So that's a little ebook that I made. That is my gift to you because everybody needs a time-saving hack these days, right?
Yeah.
Moms especially, but everybody needs a little bit of time saving. So this is a really powerful tool. It's one of the processes that's involved in my 12-week program, but this is just one really powerful tool that I give to you that you can be done in about 3 minutes. And it is, it's just, we'll put a link to it. You can get it for free. And I would love to hear how it goes for you.
Yeah. And then they can get in touch with you through your
Absolutely.
email. Are you on, I'm sure you have it in the book, right?
Yeah, so there should be web links at the back of it, but if those don't work for you, there's also, the write out of my email address. And I can be found on social media, Facebook and Instagram at The Surreal Dawn. So that's my business. And then my email is elizabeth@surrealdawn.com.
Perfect. Is there one last thing that you want the audience to take away from this call today?
Oh, thank you for asking, Jill. There absolutely is. I just want you to know that you deserve the life that you're dreaming of. It doesn't make you selfish. It doesn't make you ungrateful for what you already have to want something more. You deserve to live this life. It is the sign that you're being given that that's the life you're meant to live. And if you don't get there, that's kind of your choice. It's not to shame or call anybody out, but you do have the right to go for something more. You do not have to accept the limiting boxes or the culturally defined roles and positions that socioeconomics, society, whatever has told you is your space and to stay in your lane. You don't have to. You can have this beautiful, abundant, gratitude-filled life. And if it sounds impossible right now, then I want you to reach out. Send me a message, send me a DM, and we will have a conversation about this because it is 100% possible for you. And all of the things that feel like they're in the way could really end up being the things that motivate you to go forward with it.
Perfect. Thank you so much for joining me today, Elizabeth.
Thank you for having me, Jill. It was a fun.
Thank you so much for tuning in to another empowering episode of the You World Order Showcase podcast. We hope you've enjoyed hearing from our incredible life, health, and transformational coaches who are making a profound impact on the world. Remember, change begins with you, and you have the power to transform your life and the lives of others. If you want to take that next step and unlock your true potential, visit thecoachesalchemist.com, where you can find the 3 ways we can help you for free to spin your talent into gold with clarity, a system, and a plan. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button so you never miss an inspiring episode. And if you enjoyed today's show, we'd greatly appreciate it if you could leave us a review on your favorite podcast platform. Your feedback means the world to us and helps us reach more people with our positive message. Stay connected with us on social media for updates, behind-the-scenes content, and upcoming guest announcements. You can find us on Facebook at the You World Order or simply visit thecoachesalchemist.com.